Joining us right now, Virginia Delegate Rob Bell. He's in the House of Delegates, been there since 2002, representing the 58th District. That's Piedmont, Greene County, and you are championing the Tebow bill. Yes, why don't you describe exactly what this would do? Does it have something to do with everyone having to drop to a knee after they score a touchdown? What's the story?
That's what we'll do if the bill passes.
All right, good.
No, what the Tebow bill is trying to address the issue of homeschoolers who would like to participate in some activities at the local high school. And current law says that you already can do it if it's just internal to the high school. So many high schools let the homeschoolers come in and be in the play or be in the choir. And some of them even let them take classes at the school. But when it comes to competing with another school, so, Friday night football, that's governed by the VHSL. It's the Virginia High School League, and it's an organization like the NCAA, and they set up all the rules for inter-school competition. And they have a rule that just says homeschoolers can't play. And so 29 states have a way that they let homeschoolers participate. This bill would say that if you live in the right district, if you're the right age, if you've been homeschooling and passing the homeschooling test for 2 years, you can play if, and the if is important to a lot of people, if the local county wants you. So it would still allow the local school board principals, teachers, coaches to say no. But if you have a place, and we have about a half dozen counties that have asked us to let them, if in fact you want them, the next county over couldn't stop you.
Delegate, what's the hang-up on letting them be in the play, so to say, a homeschooler, but not letting them be in a competitive sport? What's the logic there? What am I missing?
Well, they would say a couple of things. They would say, and you could certainly have them on to give you their view themselves, but they would say, number one, it creates an uneven playing field. In other words, that some homeschoolers are taking a test at the end of the year. Some schools have a C-plus average, and you've got to take 5 credits, so it's not even. We would respond that it's already not even. You've got some schools that make you have a D-minus. Some schools make you have a C-plus. Some kids that are dual enrolled, in other words, that you are taking classes at the community college, you're not even at the high school. All of those kids get to play, and the ones who don't are the homeschoolers. They do. The second would be some coaches say that we want them to walk the halls. If they're going to be part of my team, they've got to be part of the school environment. But I think that overstates anymore the wall between homeschoolers and students. It used to be that when you started homeschooling, you never looked back. Now you routinely see students like my son who homeschool 1 year, go to public school the next year, back and forth. They work together at the Food Lion. It's just not a different population anymore. It's just a different way to teach.
Listen, I am a homeschool parent myself, so I already have somebody who's on board with this. But let me be a devil's advocate for a moment, Delegate. Let's say, first of all, you said something about a homeschool test. What exactly is that test? Who administers the test? Because right now, does the Commonwealth actually go in and inspect the curriculum that homeschool parents are using? And
sure, there are two. So in Virginia, there's 2 ways you can homeschool. The majority of the students homeschool called under the statute, and what that means is your child is tested at the end of each year. And if he doesn't score above the 4th, stay 9. If he doesn't score above a certain level, you will actually not be allowed to continue homeschooling. That's the primary way.
Okay.
Those are the students we're talking about here. We have a smaller group called the religious exemption kids, and those are the ones whose parents actually have a religious objection to public education. Now, they are completely out of the system. They're not tested. There's no checking because that's a religious issue.
And those kids will not be eligible for athletics.
Right. This is not about, their parents have made a decision to completely opt out.
So let's go back to that first group. This is an annual test that Virginia administers, and if you pass the test, you're fine. You can continue homeschooling. How does that qualification match up with the qualification public school student athletes have to adhere to maintain their role in athletics?
I understand. So there's obviously an entirely different setup. So the public school students have what they call a Pass 5, Take 5, which is the verified credits they have to take to get a diploma. And they have to, according to what the school district sets, some would say C+, some would say D-, just passing, have to pass those classes to participate. Now, I don't want to get into a lengthy argument with a public school test administrator, but I would suggest strongly that the 4th, stay 9 on a standardized test is substantially higher than the minimum amount allowed for passing.
But this is one sticking point for some of the opponents of this, is that each district sets their own rules for what student athletes have to do to be able to qualify to participate, where your bill will take the districts out of that decision and the homeschool students just have to pass a state test.
I'd say they have it backwards, actually, if they believe in local control. So right now, if Greene County, I represent Greene County and I represent Flavanna County, to pick two. Right now, if Flavanna wants their homeschoolers to play, Greene County can force them to say no because the VHSL rules say you can't do it under any circumstances, no matter what. You just can't. This would say, now if Flavanna, let's say Flavanna's only got 17 kids trying out for the football team, they really, really could use some help. Flavanna's a small county. They could then allow homeschoolers in their district, and they can set up whatever rules they want. My bill sets up a floor, so they have to pass the test for 2 years, got to be the right age, got to pay any fees, so there's a laundry list of things. But Flavanna could have additional tests if they want.
Okay.
Flavanna could go so far, of course.
So you're setting a minimum, but
right.
All right.
Flavanna could go so far as to say you have to be a public school student. We would anticipate some counties holding out and saying, no, we think they've got cooties. We're not going to let them play under any circumstances.
Okay.
I don't mind saying, over the long run, all the other states that have done this have found that the problems were overstated and that ultimately the kids were allowed to play. We would be the 30th state. We're not even in the top half anymore.
Well, Delegate, and I applaud you for putting this bill in there. I'm a big supporter of school choice, and homeschooling is frequently lost in the school choice argument. People think it's only about charters, and that's not the case. That's a small component. But do you see the tide turning on this larger school choice issue? I noticed up in New York, Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo has gone after some of the special interests in the education arena. I mean, you see the tide turning in our favor in the school choice arena?
Well, we're having a real strong year in Virginia, and we actually have for the last 4 or 5. I think so. And what most of us would say, or let me say it this way, I am modest about my ability to tell you what's best for your kid.
Right.
And so,
I like that.
Well, but you're an outlier there.
You unfortunately, yeah.
How did I get elected? Yeah.
Yeah, really.
What I mean is some kids, the neighborhood public school might be the optimal model, or when you add it all together, it's the optimal model. In other words, you have some puts and some gets, and it's close, and they get to be with their friends, and you have the social activities and PTO and everything that goes with that. Other kids need some special attention, and so I grew up in Springfield, so I grew up in your listening area, and in my family we had public school, then I went to Catholic high school, and we had homeschooling. It was just whatever my mom thought that excuse me, that child needed best that year.
Yeah.
And I think public charters are an important part of that. We're going to try to get that through, too. We had the biggest success on that in Virginia just last week.
Delegate Bell, you have been championing this. It's your bill. You've pushed it through, and last year it died in the Senate. Now it is passed committee 8-6. It looks like it's going to go to a floor vote. First of all, what do you think the prospects are in the Senate, and has the governor said anything about this?
Yes and yes. So we are down to, it's going to be within a vote or two of passage either way. We are personally lobbying the members who haven't already indicated what their votes are going to be. So it will pass, 21-19 or fail 21-19 or fail 20-20 with the lieutenant governor voting. We are going to spend the morning going to the last people one more time and seeing if there's issues they have that need to be addressed. And then the governor, the advantage of having a bill which is small, meaning that this will not cost hundreds of millions of dollars, is he has not taken a position on it.
There's a shock.
Well,
yeah, right.
He has bigger fish to fry, and I've alerted his staff that it's coming. I've alerted the advocates that as soon as we get done with the Senate, if we're successful, we need to, reach out to his office and encourage him to vote. We're a small enough group that it's probably not something you could. Sometimes you call and threaten, and this is not that kind of issue.
I understand, and you're waiting for his signature, so you're going to be politically correct. I'll say it for you. He may sign it, but then of course he'll have his attorney general find it unconstitutional. So that's. I'm teasing you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
We've been trying this. Somebody
said
since Mark Earley was in the state Senate. So that's about 20 years. Please don't say that.
All right. Thank you, Rob Bell of the Virginia House of Delegates. It's the Tebow bill.